Welcome, Antiochian Village. Today we have a special episode from Orthodox News Network. Today we will be highlighting St. Mary's Camp. My name is Boris. I am this year's office manager, and I am accompanied by other alumni Antiochian Village staff to share with you our wonderful camp, St. Mary's Camp, from the land of 10,000 lakes. Over to you, Francine.
Thanks, Liam. My name is Francine, and I'm a former staff member at the Antiochian Village. Today we're going to talk about the Pan-Orthodox camp in Minnesota called St. Mary's Summer Camp. We're going to go over its schedule, the similarities and differences of St. Mary's Summer Camp to the Antiochian Village, and talk about other Pan-Orthodox and events in Minnesota. Now here's to you, Peter, to talk about Pan-Orthodoxy.
Thank you. My name is Peter, and I'm going to tell us today about one of the really important values here at St. Mary's Camp, and really our Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Minnesota Orthodox community. And it's so important, I decided to get a haircut to tell you guys about that. You'll see what I mean in a second. But let's dig in. So what is Pan-Orthodoxy? Pan-Orthodoxy is the coming together of the jurisdictions of the Orthodox Church. So many of us grew up, identifying as Greek Orthodox or Antiochian Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Serbian Orthodox, Romanian Orthodox, the list goes on. And this is awesome, right? We need to celebrate our ancestors who really held on to our faith and brought it here to America so we can celebrate it. But at the core of all of these jurisdictions and places in the world is the Orthodox faith. And here at St. Mary's and in Minneapolis, we've really made it a mission of our camp to celebrate these together, which has really been incredible for our community. So at St. Mary's, we have people from the Greek Orthodox Church here, the Antiochian Orthodox Church here, the OCA Church here, come together, and many more to all celebrate a week of fellowship and to really celebrate our Orthodox faith. And this shows really in our community. We do many things together, as we'll talk about later in the video. And it's really a blessing, and it's a blessing that our leaders at camp and our community leaders have made this such an important part of our ministry here at St. Mary's. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. Back to you.
Thanks, Peter. Hey everybody, this is Anna, and I was a counselor last summer at AV, as well as a third session camper most of my life. When I wasn't at AV, I was a camper at St. Mary's Camp for 10 years, as well as a counselor. St. Mary's Camp started in 1952. That's a long time ago. That's 26 years before AV started. As Peter said, it's a Pan-Orthodox camp, and we are currently located at a camp called Camp Wapagasset in Amory, Wisconsin, and we've been there since 2008. We do not have our own campgrounds like AV does, so we rent from other camps instead, which allows us to move campsites based on our needs of our camp and our growing numbers. Wisconsin is about an hour-and-a-half drive from the Greek church in Minnesota, so we all meet up there and drive together. Here's to Liam to hear about the schedule.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for those great words about the history of our wonderful camp. Now, St. Mary's Camp has a pretty similar schedule to Antiochian Village as far as activities go. However, there is a little bit more of transition throughout the day. So, of course, we wake up and we get ready for the camp day every day. Then we go to flag raising, where we raise the American flag and we honor our country and everything that the freedom that we're able to have. And it's also especially important because in Orthodox Christian history, there's been many instances where our faith has been suppressed. So we're very thankful to live in a country where we're able to practice our faith freely. Then we head up to chapel and we have a morning prayer service before we head over to breakfast to have great camp food, just like at Antiochian Village. Instead of doing cabin cleanup before the start of the day, we actually take some time to do cabin cleanup before we head over to morning program. Afterwards, we go to our Christian Ed class, which we call religion. And just like Antiochian Village, we have a different theme every year for our curriculum. And then we do some morning activities, usually 1 or 2 different activities assigned per grade cabin group. And those are anything from swimming to basketball to gaga ball. And afterwards we head over to lunch to have lunch. And then we also have quiet time, which is similar to cabin time, but it's quiet, and it is time when you get to take a nap, a much-needed nap. Afterwards, we have canteen, which is similar to Gimme Shop, and just like Gimme Shop, campers are supposed to walk to canteen. However, most campers like to run. After that, we have afternoon program, which we call afternoon activities, followed by a short cabin time, and then we have our second part of our faith curriculum of the day. We have, for 6th through 12th graders, they have Q&A, which is similar to Ask a Boona sessions, or the 3rd through 5th graders participate in Orthodox Life, which is a set of activities to learn more about our faith. And then the evening, we begin the evening with dinner. Afterwards, we go and celebrate evening prayers every night. We do an all-camp activity, such as an all-camp capture the flag game, or another type of activity of that sort. We have campfire every night where the whole camp gathers and sings fun songs. And then lastly, the older campers get to participate in 9th hour, which is just fun bonding activities for cabin grade groups. And then after 9th hour, all campers go and head to bed. Now, we will do some day-to-day comparisons, comparing St. Mary's Camp and Antiochian Village. Take it away, Peter.
Thanks, Liam. So let's dig into what makes these camps similar and different. Obviously, we have to highlight the biggest similarity is that we are an Orthodox church camp, and just like the village, we are coming to our faith, get rejuvenated in our faith, and hopefully get closer to Christ by the end of the week. But that being said, there are things at AV and St. Mary's that are slightly different, and that's okay. So let's dig into that. And before we start, let's go over kind of how our camp is set up, staff-wise, and how it's run compared to AV. So at AV, we're so blessed to have full-time staff like Cade, Father Anthony, Father Chris, and James, who do this year-round. At St. Mary's, since our camp is only a week, we have a task force of volunteers from our different churches in our area that work really hard to put the week together, and they are incredible. So I want to give them a little round of applause because they don't get paid for this. They love camp, and that's why they do it. Similar to that, our counselors and the rest of our staff are volunteers as well. So we get a lot of different kind of counselors, college kids like me, but also definitely some parents, some older people. We even have yayas or sittis, grandmas that come for the homesick campers. So it's really a community effort to volunteer for our staff. So that's a little bit different from AV. So now let's get into one of your favorites at AV, afternoon program. Let's hear about it, Anna.
Peter. Yeah, so afternoon program is pretty similar but also different, as most things at camp. It's a time to run around, be active for all the campers. Some of the fun activities that we have that is a little different than AV is that we actually have a beach at the camp that we're currently at. At the beach, there's a slide, there's a raft you can go out on to jump in the deep water. So this is pretty unique, as well as boating. It's not the canoe lake like we have at AV. Rather, there's canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, and all sorts of different boats that you can rent out for different periods of time. Another fun activity you can do on the lake is fishing, actually. And then off the lake and off the lakefront, there's a lot of activities off the lakeshore, include games like field games, there's basketball, there's 4 square, 9 square on the ground, not in the air. That's called air square. We have that too, even before AV had it last summer. We have gaga ball, and most of you guys call it AV ball, but everyone else in the world, we call it gaga ball.
We also have a slip-and slide. We have something called carpet ball, which is a fun game where you get to throw golf balls down these long channels. It's kind of complicated, but a very fun game. Introduce to the campers what activities are there each day. We have something called commercials. So while everyone's at lunch, the counselors get up in the front and it's like announcements at the end of the day, but rather they tell you what fun activities there are going to be. So instead of just saying, well, there's going to be fishing, there's going to be swimming, there's going to be this, this, and that, we have fun skits that we do, and you'll see a few of those as this episode goes on.
Oh, it looks like we're fishers of men.
Come to fishing!
Rah, 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 gaga, ooh la la. Sounds like you guys have a bad romance. Lady Gaga wants everyone to come to Gaga Ball.
We're off to Peter to tell you all about religion and Christian ed.
Thanks, Anna. As many of you guys know, if you had me for morning program or in my cabin, morning program is the best time of the day, and it's not even close. And that's true at St. Mary's as well. So the basic structure of our morning program, which we call religion, is the same. There's a curriculum and a theme every year, and counselors will teach the curriculum to the campers. And we do a lot of the same kind of things. We do games, discussions, you name it, as far as religion goes. So, what's different? We don't have the part where we have the activities in morning program. We just do the lesson. We do kind of something like this with our morning activities. We'll have a few activities like candle making, which we'll talk about in a bit. But for the most part, we just have the religion lesson, and the rest of our curriculum is Q&A, which we'll talk about later. Though it's slightly different, it's the same thing, and it's the best part of the day. On to Liam to talk about Gimme Shop.
Thank you, Peter. Also, fun fact to all you viewers, Peter was my morning program teacher. I don't know if there's much to do with that information, but now you know. As I mentioned earlier, we also have something similar to Gimme Shop, and it's called Canteen. It's pretty much the same thing because we eat junk food. Now, on to Francine for cabin structure.
Thank you, Liam.
The Antiochian Village and St. Mary's Summer Camp have roughly the same number of campers per session, which is around 300 campers, and they also range from ages 8 to 17. However, St. Mary's Summer Camp does do a couple of things differently when organizing campers. At the Antiochian Village, we know that it is around 5 to 7 campers per cabin, and it is done by birthday, so that means that your cabin can change each year. At St. Mary's Summer Camp, we have it organized by grades, which means that your cabin does not change every year you come to camp. If you're a 9th grade girl and you're a 9th grade boy, you're all in the 9th grade cabin. And that doesn't change. So you're with the same people every single year. This also means that you can have varying cabin sizes, which means that you can have 4 boys and 17 girls all in the same cabin.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now we're gonna go to session priest talk with Liam.
Thank you, Francine. Just like Antiochian Village, St. Mary's Camp is blessed to have clergy who come and visit us during the camp session. Since we have so many churches that are specifically attached to St. Mary's Camp, we're able to have priests come from all over Minnesota and Wisconsin to come and help guide us and teach us in the faith. Now, here's our live confession traffic update from Crossfire at Lake Wapo Camp.
Hey guys, as you know, confession, important part of the Orthodox faith. Also, a really important part of our week here at St. Mary's Camp. We got priests everywhere. We got 10 priests going right now. Lines are running smooth. Come on in. Repentance is in the air. We're going to be white as snow. We're feeling good. Let's go. Back.
At the village, we love Askabuna. We have something similar at St. Mary's, but we get to do it every single night. I always tell my MoPro kids, save those questions. At St. Mary's, you have as much chance as you want to ask the priest of your choice a question. Here is our correspondent, Rebecca, to tell us more about why she loves Q&A at St. Mary's.
Q&A at our camp is for all of the 9th through 12th grade cabins. Each cabin has their own Q&A with their own priest or spiritual advisor, and it is a great opportunity for all the campers to submit questions both anonymously and live during the designated time. It happens every day, so there's always opportunity for more questions. And I really enjoy it because it's an opportunity for you to work out those things that you've been wondering about, whether it was something that you heard earlier in the day in religion, something you were talking to your friends about, or just something that you were wondering about and haven't had the right opportunity to ask the question, and all of the priests and spiritual advisors are very knowledgeable.
As I mentioned, we do something called Campfire first. Here's Francine to tell us a little bit more.
We're actually going to send this over to our correspondent, Leo, to talk more about Campfire.
You know Campfire, but you don't know St. Mary's Summer Camp Campfire. It is a whole new thing, and it's so much fun. So many good memories. It's a time for the entire faithful community to gather and cut loose and have fun, and it's just the best.
Thanks, Leo, for telling us all about Campfire. Now here's Peter to talk a little bit more about evening program that we have at St. Mary's Summer Camp.
So, evening program, a lot of campers and counselors' favorite time of the evening, of the day. Obviously, it's the evening. But at St. Mary's, we do a little bit different. We do have some dances like we do at camp. We talked about the Huffley earlier, but we do a lot of big camp games, which is an option that we have right before Campfire. So one of our favorite games is Chase. Now, this is not a game that you see everywhere or really on ESPN, but it's one that we call home at St. Mary's. Here.
Hey guys, how's it going? One of my favorite activities at St. Mary's Camp is something called the Great Chip Chase. And the way it works is it's an evening activity where it's counselors versus campers, and the campers have to deliver chips across the campus safely to Yaya or Teta before they get caught by the counselors. And whoever collects the most chips, either the campers team or the counselors team at the end, wins. And I think it's one of my favorite activities because it really brings everyone together, and it's been a staple of the camp for years.
Okay, let's back up here for a second. This is all fun, but what did we say at the beginning? Church is the camp, right? Our Orthodox faith in Jesus Christ. Here is Mary to tell us about our wonderful worship services that we have.
I love going to church at camp, and it's one of the favorite parts of my day because I love hearing everyone sing, from like the really young kids to the seniors and the staff. And we have a really nice mix of Byzantine and OCA music since we're lucky enough to be a pan-Orthodox camp. And I love listening to all of the different priests' sermons from all the different churches, and it's super nice having twice a day.
Thank you, Mary, for that incredible description and account of our wonderful worship services here at camp. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten a little bit of a grasp of what are the similarities and differences between the two camps that we're highlighting today. Some of the beautiful things that we love about St. Mary's and that we think are incredibly unique and cool that we do. Here is a lot of our former staff to share some of their favorite parts about these activities.
One thing we do at St. Mary's Camp is missions. So that means that all the camp has the opportunity to raise money for either a monastery or another Orthodox organization. When I was a senior, my cabin decided to do a water balloon fundraiser where all the campers could buy water balloons and pick any senior they wanted to throw the water balloon at. Our cabin ended up raising over $1,000.
Hi, so the 4th of July at St. Mary's Camp is so much fun. We have Beach Bash, which is an all-camp swim, in addition to having a bunch of activities and games. And at those games, we raise money for missions, which then the kids can buy chips. And then there's a bunch of like fun things where they can send counselors and clergy to sunken canoes and pie them in the face and have them take cold showers. So it's a lot of fun and lots of games. Yeah, and then either on the 3rd or the 5th, depending on what week we're at camp, everyone lines up on the hill after campfire and we watch fireworks, which are launched from the campsite in like an adjacent field. And it's pretty loud, but it's a lot of fun and it's a really great show. So.
The senior counselor basketball game, one of the highlights of every week at camp. I think the best memory is obviously the Antiochian line. I mean, you've got Peter Karos, Luke McHale, Jerry Gibran, TJ Perry, and myself, just splashing threes from anywhere around the perimeter. You can't compete with that. And then honestly, the MVP of the league, Duke, who comes in and creates so much space on the court. It's like when she touches the ball, the lane practically parts wide open, and you can guarantee she's always going to score.
My favorite memories from camp are probably of ethnic night, which is the Thursday night. We do a dinner which is cooked by people from all of the local parishes and Twin Cities, and it's delicious, it's so much fun. And then afterwards we all go out into the streets and the pathways around the art shop, and we have a huge ethnic dance with Greek dancing and Middle Eastern dancing, Serbian dancing, Russian dancing, Romanian dancing, dances from all the different cultures of all of our campers and the different churches. It's a great time because during camp throughout the week, every grade has a morning activity where they have the opportunity to learn all of the dances from all the different cultures.
As you guys can tell, one of my favorite parts of St. Mary's Camp, just like AV, is going out on the ropes. Course. At St. Mary's Camp, we take a bus ride over to a camp right next door, which is called Ox Lake, and we spend a day on the ropes course. Another fun thing that we get to do at Ox Lake is go horseback riding and archery.
One thing that every camper at St. Mary's Camp looks forward to is the senior walk, which is one of our super fun traditions. Basically, every year, each senior gets announced in front of the whole camp, and you walk down with a friend, and then you go and have a super fun ethnic dinner together, and everyone cherishes the time, and it's kind of a wrap-up of all the great memories that were made during your camp life.
It's so fun to hear about all those fun memories, as we know you guys have so many fun memories of Antiochian Village too. St. Mary's Camp is similar to AV in that we also have lots of other camps, all of them being pan-Orthodox. One of my personal favorites happens in October, and it's our family camp. This is one of the largest family camps in the country. We bring in speakers from different states, and most of the campers bring their entire families to the camp. So it's a great time for all the campers to see their camp friends and also for their parents to get to know each other. It's very similar to our camp in that we have fun events like campfire and like different activities, and as well as you get to hang out with all of your friends for a fun weekend. This has been going on for about 25 years here in the Twin Cities and is pan-Orthodox as our other camps, as Liam is going to describe our winter camp.
Thank you, Anna. So, our winter camp program is our newest addition to St. Mary's Camp programming. It is technically hosted by St. Mary's OCA, but we do all the same activities that we do at family camp and winter camp. It takes place over Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, so the same time that Antiochian Village's winter family camp takes place. And it's just another great time for campers to see each other during the school year. Now on to Peter with Lenten services.
So one of the awesome parts of this Pan-Orthodox community is that we get to go to various Lenten services and retreats throughout the year and see our camp friends there. So if I'm rolling into Pan-Orthodox Vespers during Great Lent, and I'm walking over and I see Liam standing there, I'm gonna go give him a hug. Maybe not during Corona times, and I'm gonna know him, and I'm gonna have some dinner with him. And that stuff like that happens all over our community. Friend groups are made. We go to each other's festivals. We go to each other's retreats, and it's really an incredible thing. And it really did start with the camp, which is awesome.
Oops, sorry, didn't see you there. Let's learn how to talk like a Minnesotan, eh? First, we're gonna start with the egg category. Big, rig, wagon, leg. But sometimes you gotta go on the roof, eh? Here in Minnesota, we don't drink soda, we drink pop, eh? If I have a long day, I say oofta. If you hit someone at the grocery store, you say oop. Sorry, let me squeeze right past ya. Up north, we got a cabin. We eat some hot dish, not a casserole, hot dish. And then we say, yeah, no. No, yeah. And we love to play duck, duck, gray duck.
On to Francine to tell us about our pan-Orthodox dances that are quite...
Yes, thank you, Peter. One of the great things about our Pan-Orthodox community in Minnesota is our annual Pan-Orthodox dance. This is where we get together sometime around in February, and we have a couple hundred people come join us. We get together and we get to celebrate all different ethnicities that are part of the Orthodox faith. So we have some Serbian dancing, Russian dancing, Romanian, Bulgarian, Greek, and Arab. And we do all these traditional dances. We have some time for fellowship. It is an all-age dance as well. And to sign us off, we're gonna head back to Liam.
Thank you, Francine. And thank you all for tuning in to our episode of Orthodox News Network. We hope you learned more about us and St. Mary's Camp and Minnesota. Please make sure to tune in to evening prayers tonight. Evening prayers will be happening every night of virtual camp this summer, and make sure to pay attention to avcamp.org for updates on virtual camp. We're so excited to have a wonderful summer with you all. Goodbye. God bless.